Welcome to Unlocking LaTeX Graphics. I'm Tammy Kolda, an applied mathematician. This channel is all about helping you create beautiful graphics using TikZ and PGF plots, which are tools inside LaTeX. Today I'll talk about drawing a graph clique using TikZ. A graph clique is a graph where every node is connected to every other node. This is something you may want to draw if you're working with graph theory or network diagrams. It illustrates several useful concepts in TikZ: math calculations, loops, and polar coordinates. In this video, I'll show you how to set up the document, lay out the nodes in a circular pattern, and connect them via edges. The videos on this channel are based on my book, Unlocking LaTeX Graphics, as well as some bonus materials. Before we get started, let's set up the document. The geometry package is used to set the paper size and margins, and I'm making this a narrow document just so that it shows up well on the screen. This is not the size you would normally use. The parskip package replaces indents with vertical space between paragraphs, and that's just a little more convenient for our layout. The hyperref package is used to link the author name of this document back to the YouTube channel. You don't actually need the first three packages to make this example work. The main package is the TikZ package, which is used for creating graphics in LaTeX. Now let's create our TikZ picture. First, I'm creating the drawing canvas with the TikZ picture environment. I've also added the centering command to center things, and I'm using the special style every node, which means it will be applied to every node in my picture. I'm appending that with setting the shape to be a circle. The default is a rectangle. I'm setting the minimum size to be 5 millimeters. I'm setting the color to be cyan. I'm drawing the outline, and I'm filling the node. Setting the fill equal to dot exclamation point 20 means to use the current color, which is cyan, but only at 20% intensity. Next, I'm going to define two variables using the PGF math set macro command. I could define these inside or outside the TikZ picture. I'm going to do it right before the TikZ picture. The first variable /n, I'm just going to call it n, is the number of nodes in the clique. I'm setting it to 5 for now, but you can change this to any number you want. The second variable r is the radius of the circle on which the nodes will be placed. I'm setting it to 3, but you can adjust this as needed. And remember, the default step in TikZ is that 1 unit is 1 centimeter. Now I'm going to place the nodes in a circular pattern using a for each loop. So let me go back inside my TikZ picture, and then I'm going to paste this loop. So how does this work? I have a backslash for each /i is my loop variable. That's going to go from 1 ... to big N. So that means it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a node here, and its position is inside these parentheses. It's in two parts. The first part is the degrees, and the second part is the radius, and they're separated by a colon. The colon is how I know it's a polar coordinate rather than a Cartesian coordinate. Now the first part is the angle, and I'm doing a calculation here. The curly braces that surround this calculation are critical. And so I'm setting the angle to be 360 times I minus 1 divided by n. This will evenly space the nodes around the circle. The second part, r, is the radius, which we've defined above. Each node is labeled with its index /i, and it's given a name, which is the thing in parentheses, n/i. So each node will be node 1, node 2, up to node 5. And this will be useful for drawing the edges later. You don't have to put anything in this label. It could be empty, but I'm doing it for now so you can see which node is which. Now let's compile that, and we get our 5 nodes spread around a circle. So 1 is at 0 degrees, and so on down the line, each one going by 1/5 of 360. Now that the nodes are placed, we can draw the edges between them. This is going to use a pair of loops. So let me go back inside my TikZ picture, go after we've placed the nodes, and now paste the code to draw the edges. I have 2 loops here. The outer loop is a loop on I. This is going to go from 2 to n. And at each step of this loop, I'm using the evaluate command, and I'm going to evaluate /i as /jj. So I'm creating a new variable, and that's going to be set to I minus 1. And then inside this loop, I'm going to do a path starting from node n/i. And then inside my path statement, I have a for each. And because it's inside the path statement, there's no backslash in front of it. The second loop variable is j going from 1 to /jj. So that's I minus 1. And it will draw an edge from this ni to nj. So for example, when I is 2, this loop will just go from 1 to 1, and will draw an edge from n2 to n1. And you can have multiple edge statements. That's one of the cool things about drawing graphs in TikZ, is you can just have one node and then an edge to another, and then another edge to another node, and so on. So when we recompile this, you see that now all our edges are drawn. One thing I'll note is that because the for each is inside the path statement, the contents of the for each have to be inside a curly brace. That's critical, or else it won't work, because otherwise the for each statement doesn't know what it's looping over. And as usual, the whole thing ends with a semicolon. One final note is, because I made the number of nodes a macro up above, I can go ahead and change it. For example, I can change this to 10, and now I have 10 nodes around my circle. I can also turn off the numbering by removing this /i. And so now I just have a clique and my nodes are not numbered. I hope you enjoyed today's episode on drawing a graph clique. I include a link to the overleaf document I created today in the show notes. If you found this helpful or interesting, please click like or subscribe. If you have TikZ or PGFplots questions, please post them in the comments. If you want to learn more, please check out my other videos. I also have a book, Unlocking LaTeX Graphics, available for purchase at major book retailers. Thanks for watching.